Hey, good afternoon, folks.
How
Happy
you guys doing?
Tuesday.
We've been having some technical difficulties. We've been trying to get things together. Hopefully, we're back to our original format where we're using a phone.
Yeah, we have no choice till
Um,
we get better technical, stuff here.
uh
We need better.
oh, sorry about that. The thunder just kicked.
We're having some
My,
thunderstorms,
yeah,
people.
my dogs tend to go a little nuts. Jada, it's okay.
But how's everybody's summer?
Stop.
It's almost over, man. July is almost over.
We've had so much rain this summer too. Like
And heat.
every weekend, it's raining.
And heat.
Yeah, well, the heat, like I
We don't
expect it
mind
to
the
be
heat,
hot in the
yeah.
summer.
Summer.
I just would like it. Now, my dog just came over. My dog is like sitting here cowering from the thunder.
Oh, some
Anyway.
vicious storms out there.
So what we want to talk about today is this whole
The movie here.
equity crap. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to say it like that, but the truth is, anytime you treat somebody better than somebody else, it's going to lead to some sort of animosity between those people. It's just the way it is. So equity doesn't really work. The only time we have equality is when everybody's treated equal. You can't go back.
And we're not getting that right now.
Yeah, it's time is not like money. Okay, you can't go back and give people time. You can't. Time does not equate money. There's a lot that goes on there, but that's not really what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about this whole Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs deal. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was a story that was
Great story,
conceived.
great
I mean,
movie.
I'm guessing in the 1930s or something like
Yes,
that.
Mr. Walt Disney himself brought it. Whoever
Yeah,
wrote it.
I don't know if he wrote it, but he produced it. And he brought it to us. Let's put it that way. I gotta move in a little bit. 'Cause
And a
I'm
great,
on the screen.
and a great little story.
Yeah,
If anybody who's ever seen Walt Disney.
understand what it really is. It's about this woman that's in the woods.
She's running away. Yeah.
in a calamity type situation, and these seven dwarfs literally find her and make her better again. That's basically what it comes down to. The dwarfs come off
They're
amazingly
protected from
well.
an evil witch.
They come off amazingly well in this. Okay, so it's not. It by no means is it insulting to the dwarfs. Every characteristic that each one has somehow helps Snow
yes,
White.
Yes.
Now, my issue with this,
They all
honestly,
have good personalities.
I could care less. I've got to just adjust this a touch, Kerry. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Beautiful.
Okay, so anyway, my issue with this is not Snow White. Listen, you can make her any color you want. Snow White is her name. It's not a description.
No, it's a very pretty
Snow
young
White
lady
means
doing
that
this.
she had morals. She was proper. That's what they
Right.
kind of mean by she was white, like fresh as the snow or
Or
whatever.
she was with the dwarfs.
Yeah, I mean, if they were going to go by that, then her hair would have been white too. You know what I mean? Her
Right.
hair was black.
Right.
But
No, there's no
regardless,
issue with Snow White.
that's not my issue. Okay, my
Mhm.
issue is, and I really should have looked up that other guy's name, the short guy's name, the one from Game of Thrones and Elf. I can't think of his name
Well,
now.
he plays Miles Finch on
Yeah.
Elf.
Anyway, but he had a big thing to say about how dwarfs were being treated in film, and by him opening his mouth about that, he actually cost dwarfs jobs. The thing about it being
Yeah, he
a dwarf,
wasn't realizing. He didn't think.
actually, the thing about being a dwarf is, and you're gonna before you say the opposite is true. Also, it's not. I'll explain to you why in 1 minute. But the thing about being a dwarf is you only have a certain amount of options when it comes to parts.
Right.
You can't go for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, as a dwarf. Let's face
Like
it.
Die Hard,
I'm not trying to be comical. I'm being serious.
No.
Now,
Very serious.
you could say, well, the truth is that a normal sized man can't go for a dwarf's part. Well, it's not really true because
They just did it.
they just did it. And besides that, they also did it with Tom Hanks. They used CGI to
Make him,
make him a dwarf.
A dwarf
This is
in one
what
of the-
happened.
One of the movies.
I
yes.
can't. It's out. It's new. It's just come out. So it does happen. Now, I just had the guy's name. So the guy from Elf, rather. I'm sorry.
Miles Finch. That's
Right.
all we forgot
Turned
his name,
around
so if
and was
anybody
like, very insulted about the way. There's another dwarf. I don't know his name, but he's an actor as well. And he was just on some show. He was on actually a few news
He
shows.
was in Lord of the Rings.
And
He was
what-
in.
No, you're still talking about Miles Finch, right?
No.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the other one.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, you're right. I remember
Right,
seeing the guy with the long
right,
hair. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And I forget what other one. But
Well, but anyway, so he made it an alarming point. Stop and think about this for a minute. First off, as I stated
he made
before,
a very good point.
he can't go for parts like Adam Sandler parts or like Kevin Nealon. Kevin Meat. What's the guy's name from King of Queens?
Oh, Kevin James.
Kevin James can't go for
Yeah,
his
Tom
part.
Cruise.
Yeah, he can't
Yeah,
do
he
that.
can't do those
he's
parts.
3'11" or something, 3'10".
Right.
So these are the parts that he has available, and now you just took 6 of them away.
Right.
There's only one dwarf in Snow
Right.
White and 7 Dwarfs now.
And in the original, there's 7 dwarfs. So
Right.
he took 6
So he took 6 away. Now you say, well, that's not too bad. 6 of them
No,
in the name
that's
of
pretty
equity.
big.
But stop and think about it from this perspective.
That's pretty big.
There's stand-ins that they need in the camera that have to be the same height. So there's
right.
dwarfs that get
The
jobs.
stunts, right?
The stuntmen
Stuntmen.
have to be the same size. They're going to get thrown around. They can't look different than the other ones. So in reality, when you take
You put a lot of people out of work.
when you take 4 stand-ins per dwarf, then you take 2, 3 stuntmen per dwarf. That's 7 per dwarf times 6. So now you're talking is 42 dwarfs out of work that could have had jobs, and not just jobs, but jobs that might have led to another job.
Right.
Bear in mind that there's only very few movies that actually use little people like that.
Oh, Willy Wonka.
Yeah,
Right,
Willy Wonka,
Oompa Loompas,
right.
right? Whatever.
Oz,
Wizard of Oz,
that's obvious.
right?
And after that, it's really not much left. There's very little.
Yeah,
You may have a stray part here and there, but nothing major. So you're taking one of the very few movies that actually use these people, and you're taking it away from them.
Took their job away, yeah.
It's just to me, it's stupidity.
Right.
And it's almost like an Alanis Morissette song. It's ironic because the same way the same way you're taking the
some
parts away,
thunderstorms.
okay, from these people, you're doing it in the name of somehow uplifting them. So you're stopping them from working, but somehow uplifting them.
Don't make no sense.
It really, the best thing you can do is just shut your mouth and let whoever wants to do it do it.
Do it. There's certain things you can't change in movies.
Yeah.
There's certain things you just can't change.
You literally what you did, you made a change, but for the worse.
Right.
You took stuff away from people like you.
Right.
When if you would have just shut your mouth, if they wanted to change their format, it would have been up to them. It would, but this pressuring of cancel culture is absurd.
It's everybody's too sensitive now.
And again,
It's gotten out of control.
I have no problem with who plays Snow White.
Snow White, no, hell no.
I would have a problem if I'm not gonna lie. I would have a problem if it was a transgender maybe. And the only reason I'm saying that is because Snow White actually is a woman.
Is a woman, right?
And if they played it well enough that they could actually fool me into thinking they're a woman, all right, great. I'm cool with that.
But then
But I don't want to see the guy who won that marathon in, I think it's England, in the bikini and bald as Snow White. It just wrecks the fantasy.
They're
I don't know.
pretty Snow White. It's just like we said. It's about the dwarfs. I mean, if you're gonna have dwarfs, you're gonna have a movie like with Snow White and the Seven
But
Dwarfs.
yeah, I tell you what.
The dwarfs.
If we're gonna do that, then let's do this first.
Right?
I personally feel women in that movie come across too gentle and too at risk. So let's put Steven Seagal as Snow White, and we'll do that. I mean, it's the same idea. It's no different. You took a dwarf and put a normal size person.
Right.
I took a woman at 5'6" and put a guy 6'4". It's no different.
No, not for nothing.
It's just as ridiculous.
That's right. Not for nothing. You said about these movies. There's a couple of good movies out there. Oppenheimer. If you look at the actors and how they made them look like the people, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. I didn't see the movie. My son saw it. They said it was great. I trust him. One of my sons is very good with the.
I don't trust him. No, I'm just kidding.
With the movie, I want to give him.
I trust you, T.
I want to give him $1 to get 4 quarters, but I trust him. But I trust him on the movies because one of my sons, Keith, is very good at that. He knows.
Oh, it's Keith.
Yeah, he knows the
I trust
directors,
you.
everything. He really is good. And there's another good one out there. They saw Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
They didn't change anything of that. And there's another one which is a controversial now, Sound of Freedom.
That's been in the can for 5 years. They've been sitting on that because they didn't want to let it out because it pertains to the immigration situation. And it was also really cheap to make.
It's trafficking, sex
and
trafficking.
it's been #1 for I think the past 4 or 5 weeks.
Yes, it has. It's really
made like 125 million or something
Jim
like that.
Caviezel, right? He's in it. I
think that's it. Something like that. It's pretty close.
Well, anyway, it's a really good movie. It looks good.
Well, see, as long as you get into that. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to go a different route. Okay, so I'm sure.
But they didn't change anything. That's what's good. Like you gotta look at Oppenheimer. You gotta see the original.
Well,
people.
that's kind of my point.
Oh
okay?
my God, it looks great.
So that's kind of my point. So I'm
And
gonna,
it's a true story, people. So
I want to take The Honeymooners as an example first off.
good
Okay.
one.
So if you guys
Great
watch
comedy.
The Honeymooners, okay, you know it's about Ed,
Great comedy.
Ralph, Alice,
and
Trixie, sometimes Aunt Ethel. Anyway, so you
the
guys,
mother-in-law.
right? The mother-in-law, right? Ralph. Anyway, so you guys kind of know what it's about, okay?
Blab 'em out.
So my point is this: when they made the movie, so we're fans, okay? So I've been a fan of The Honeymooners since I'm probably
Since
five.
yeah,
since I'm five,
you
maybe
watch
since
it.
I understood what was going on. So
Yeah, they have lost episodes and the Honeymoon.
right. So 54 years later, I still like that movie. That show. I still watch it.
Oh, I'm 61.
still
I
watch it
still watch
constantly.
it. Definitely, man.
Now the movie.
you can't
Why
miss
would you make a movie so adversely different to the situation comedy TV show when that's not what we watched? So what I
They
watched,
shouldn't have
okay?
changed it.
Well, listen, listen, it's not a racial thing, okay? So
Oh no.
and it just so happens that they used African American actors for it
Yeah,
in an African American setting. Cedric the Entertainer, and I forget
Right.
the other guy was from like It's a Living or something like not It's a Living, the one with Khadijah, with
Oh, with Living Color.
Queen. Yeah, no, you're close.
Oh, scary movie.
No, it
Those
was
guys.
It was like four. There was
I
four.
forgot the
Trudy
guy.
lived with them. Queen Latifah. There was four of them, and
I know
I
you're talking
can't think.
about.
Anyway,
Forgot.
so regardless, that's so. Anyway, he was in that.
Oh, excuse me.
So what they did was they made a movie of The Honeymooners. It could have been fantastic. So My Honeymooners
They destroyed it.
was the 1950s, 1940s,
40s even.
50s.
Lost episodes.
Oh,
right?
wait, I'm giving the setting of The Honeymooners.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it was set about the 1940s, 50s. You know,
40s.
yeah, I would say
Right.
1940s, 50s.
You're right.
And it was set in a black and white situation.
Right after
comedy
World War II.
in Brooklyn, in an apartment building, and it was
Benson Hershbrook.
that age period, that
Right.
time.
And he was a bus driver.
Right. And anyway, so then now they redo it and they put it into present day. And now Honeymooners doesn't translate into
No.
present day because the comedy was innocent. You understand what I'm saying? Like today, the comedy is all
This is
about
back in the 40s. He made $62 a week.
yeah, $62 a week. Anyway,
Trying $62 a day.
the thing about the Honeymooners was
Right?
yeah, because it was the inception of comedy on that level.
Yes.
It was gentle
Unbelievable.
but funny. It was innocent and funny.
That's the key.
It was-
Innocent.
yeah,
Right. That's
and-
the key.
You can't pull that off today in this time period. And if you want an example of which one did it kind of better, Car 54, Where Are You? Fantastic.
Great
Same
show.
time period. Same time
Great
period.
show.
With Herman Munster. I don't know if you know that. It's Fred
Fred
Gwynne
Gwynne and Al
and
Lewis.
Al Lewis. Right. That's
He
where they
was-
actually met.
He was
on that
grandpa.
show.
Right.
He was also
before the
Schnauzer. He was Schnauzer at Muldoon.
Right.
So anyway, Car
Good show.
54, Where Are You? Was basically the same situation setup as The Honeymooners, except it was a different setting. Okay? In other words,
That was in the
like this was in a police officer, and it was more of an ensemble troupe that interacted together, like a bunch of police officers. It wasn't like a home.
Actually, it was
family
only
type
5
of
of
thing.
them.
Was it really?
It was like 5 in the whole. In the
It
whole
was Nipsey Russell, Schnauzer,
well,
Tootie, Ooh,
right.
Muldoon.
So about 6 really. And the
No,
side,
and
right?
then the dude who had the bad feet. I forget his name. That was about 7 of them, 7 or 8.
But that's
then,
why I
then
like
you had
it.
that big muscle guy. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
remember who he
I
was.
forgot. Okay, you're right.
Anyway, but regardless, so
It was
that
just funny
was
that you got all those, just those people.
Yeah, that
Meanwhile,
was-
you need about thousands now.
yeah, where the Honeymooners basically relied on
Excuse
two couples. This was like an ensemble cast, okay, and they actually did a variety show in one of their episodes. But when they redid it, okay, they actually redid it today in a more upbeat way, but they made the crimes meet the times. Sorry, I don't
yeah,
mean to sound
go on.
like that.
Go on.
I'm not trying to be what's his
No,
face,
go
the
on.
one with if the glove fits, you must have quit.
Ah,
I'm just saying that they brought it up to date with the times, and the crimes that were involved in it David Johansen was in that also.
Oh, yeah, funny,
The
funny show.
crimes that they had in it were actually applicable to today, and it was humorous. Like it had to do with hookers. It had to do with, see, that's something that Car 54 never had to deal with. They had to deal with some lady who wouldn't leave a building. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had to deal with a kid who was having a bar mitzvah and couldn't get people to show up at it, and so they had to go. It turns out the kid's dad was like the most hated guy in the neighborhood, and they had to figure out a way to get goddamn fly.
Yeah, it's not
Anyway.
like what it is today.
Yeah, it's you know.
Not like what it is today. That's
So, if you're gonna remake something like this, you got to try to stay as close to the original as possible.
yeah, that's the only way to do it.
If it's an older type thing, if it's a newer type thing, you can get a little more creative or whatever. The A-Team is a great example. The A-Team movie. The A-Team itself was a very cheesy show, and no one ever got killed. Once in a while, someone would get shot in the leg or something
Right,
like
nobody
that.
got killed though.
But they would shoot maybe 7,000 bullets per episode, and nobody would get killed. The worst that would happen is a car would flip and spin, and that was pretty
And
much.
they still get out.
Yeah, and the guys would get out, like brush it off, like it was
Yeah.
okay, you know.
Just take the glass off.
Now,
yeah, right.
What made that funny? Well, not funny. What made that entertaining was that these guys could figure out a way to get out of all of these situations through just what they had lying around. You know, it was very. I'm going to use the term MacGyver-esque, but they were MacGyver before there was a MacGyver.
Oh,
What?
that was a good show. Man.
MacGyver was a good show. Honestly, absolutely.
Right? That was a good
you know,
show. You learned some good
See,
tricks.
I was going to say I learned a lot of you know what on that.
You know, there's other movies I remember.
Wait. Let me finish my thought on the A-Team. Wait, please.
Right, the A-Team.
So the A-Team was actually a very good show. Really cheesy, but if you were looking to
Little action.
criticize something, you could definitely criticize it
Yeah.
and make it sound like the worst show that ever existed. However, if you were just looking to have a good time and you sat down and watched it, it'd be one of the greatest shows you
It
ever
had a little
watched.
comedy, little action.
Right now, what
and
they
everything
did,
in it.
what they did when they moved to movie, okay, to making the movie
I
they
saw
did
that movie.
with Liam Neeson.
Right. Okay.
I forget who the other two were.
Me too.
Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper was in it,
Mm-hmm.
and then some guy played BA. And now what they did there was they changed the entire movie. It wasn't the A-Team anymore. It wasn't them getting kid. In the A-Team, what would happen is they would always get kidnapped at some point, like taken into custody by the bad guy, get put into a room, and the room just happened to have tools, or it happened to have
It's like in
bed
a warehouse
springs or
area,
whatever.
Right?
Yeah, something that they could use to make a weapon, and they could like drive it out or whatever. That was the whole premise of the show. They would be shooting flames with a water gun or whatever. So in the movie, they
Good
didn't
show.
do that sort of stuff. In the movie, they went more militaristic tactics.
Yeah, like SWAT team.
Right, exactly.
Right?
They had a full plan where they, like literally it was like dominoes the way things fell. There was no
comedy.
there was no point at which you had to suspend reality, the idea of reality. In the A-Team, sometimes you had to suspend reality for a little bit and say, okay, well, it's a show,
Right.
In the movie, the A-Team, that wasn't the case. They actually went quite the opposite, and they pretty much stayed the course of what reality would have happened. I mean, it really is. And the other thing was, in the show, it was never a point where B.A. Baracus, Mr. T, wanted to be peaceful. He just...
That wasn't his nature in that
it
show.
wasn't his nature. This guy won like the toughest bouncer like 3 years in a row or something like that.
You bounce you around.
So he wasn't really, he was a nice guy, but not when you got him angry in general. Now the guy in the movie was all about peace, and he was, and that
wasn't
just
Mr.
wasn't-
T.
that was-
Yeah.
So in other words, what I'm saying is what they did was they changed it, but they changed it so much that it had nothing to do with the original show.
Right. That's what
And you
we're
can
saying.
do that if you have a good story, because then you're just basically your own movie.
Right, and that's what we're saying.
Right, you're
about
creating
these
your own
movies.
franchise. But as far as like making movies, you've got to realize that making movies from TV shows, I should say, you got to realize that the fans have a certain set vision of what that show is, and that's who you're looking to get to the movies. Unless again you have such a great story that you want to bring in new fans, and I do kind of get that, but fans in general want you to stay the course of the actual show.
And like you said, we're fans that we watch these shows. So when you watch these shows, you want to see similar in the movie.
And it's really not that hard, and I'll tell you why. Because to just really and truly, you could literally take 3 episodes of a show, like The Honeymooners. I'm going to use The Honeymooners as an example.
Odd Couple.
You want The Odd Couple? I'll do The Odd Couple. You could take 3 episodes of a show, put them together with new actors in it, have them act it out exactly
the same.
word for word what the show was, and you've got a movie.
And you
You've got a movie.
There you
It's
go.
just that simple. So the 3 episodes from The Odd Couple, okay?
Well, they did a movie with Odd Couple, right, with Walter Matthau.
Yeah, but that was
right.
See, now again, that's good, dude. Let me get in on that because you're gonna make me go another route now. Now that's the opposite of what I said. Now listen, you had Walter Matthau and you had Jack Lemmon, and that was also a play, okay, by Neil Simon.
Neil Simon.
And so you have these 2 guys, and basically it's one's
Opposite.
neat, one's sloppy. That's basically
Right.
I'm giving you the whole thing all in one. Not
Different
shot.
cultures.
Now
They both have different. One doesn't like sports. One is a sports writer.
right now. Now wait, in the
Great
movie,
show.
as bad as it was, in the movie, it was sloppy and neat. But Jack Lemmon didn't play the picayune neat. Okay, he was just
Right.
he was the nervous neat guy, like the guy who the timid, like kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Where Felix was the neat guy with balls. Okay, if you got, he would get right on your ass. Jack Lemmon was more the guy who held it in and just kind of looked
walk
away.
away.
And,
Yeah, not Felix.
yeah, exactly. And so when they went to the and Oscar, to tell you the truth, Oscar Walter Matthau was nasty. He was like
Yes.
literally
Yes.
insulting throughout the whole
Right.
movie.
Now, if you
Jack
watch the
Klugman got
yeah, he wasn't.
he
Nasty.
wasn't,
He would come up with lines, funny joke, funny,
but not nasty.
Right.
So, and they realized the difference was people who went to see it in the theater were an older crowd,
Mm-hmm.
and they were out for a night of something different than TV. So they had to spice it up a little bit. Then they realized when they went to the TV, that they were going to have your average American watching it with their kids and stuff. So they buffed it down a little bit. And they made Felix a little bit more of an acceptable person
Right,
instead of pain in
right.
the ass.
But Oscar was funny, not nasty. And
Yeah.
Felix was, like you said, had balls, clean freak, funny too. He had some good. Well, you got to watch the show.
Yeah.
These are great shows.
I actually met
They're
him
not making
once.
comedy like this no more.
I met him once, and by met him,
How about Tony Randall? Yeah.
I met him. All I did was I didn't even shake his hand. I just tipped. I made believe I tipped my hat because he was wearing a hat. So he had one of those straw hats on.
Right.
He actually looked like
Okay.
he looked like he was in a barbershop quartet. He had a jacket
Yeah.
with red pinstriping, like thick pinstriping, and one of those like
Mhm.
straw hats.
I
The
just think.
Susquehanna Hat Company. hats.
Yeah, this
Anyway.
shows came out in the '70s, so just think. Right, that's where we met them. As a matter of fact, the building they did the show in was 1049
Yeah,
Park
Park
Avenue.
Avenue.
What street
Yeah.
is that? I forgot.
86.
86.
Anyway, so getting back to the subject, when it comes to the movies, you really have to go one of 2 ways. Either totally dissect yourself from the TV show, in which case you can do it any time period you want, 1950s, 60s, 70s, whatever. Or you got to stay with it almost to the key.
Right to the right.
And because you're only looking for one of 2 things. If you change it, you're not going to get the fans of the original show. And if you keep it the same, you're going to get those fans, and you might get a
Yeah.
few, new people, or you
Right,
might get
that
people
don't
talking about it, and it may even reignite the original show.
Mm-hmm.
There was some show a while back that happened. Oh, Karate Kid
Karate Kid.
with Cobra Kai. Karate Kid was dead for 30 years. No, I mean it
Right,
would be
came out
on
in the
a
80s.
Sunday once in a
Right.
while, and you might
Mhm.
watch it,
Yep.
but nobody cared about it. Cobra Kai reignited it to where now it's on every
It
streaming.
was just on the other night, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact, on AMC. I
You know,
think it was.
And the difference is, they actually kept it correct in terms of period from when they were kids. So in other words, the 40 years that went by is actually 40 years that went by.
Oh yeah, they kept it right to the point when it first came out. Yes, they.
And
did.
then what
if
they
anybody
did-
watches it, you gotta watch it.
And then what they did was they created a new show out of it on top. Once they had the fans of the original Karate Kid, then they went a different way.
And if anybody watched Cobra Kai, it's a great show. It really is.
It's a fantastic show. My only issue is this last season. The last season,
It's a drama.
I wasn't really well. You know what it was? My real big problem with it is everybody becomes really great at martial arts really quickly. And that's just not the case. Okay, it's just not. Generally, it's not the case.
Nope. Takes time.
You know, and even if you do, they pass people who've been doing it for, you know, like 2 years, 3 years. All of a sudden, they're better than them. You know what I mean?
Don't work
And, you know, guy wins the All Valley, you know, and yet this little kid comes up and almost beats him up. It just, there's some of it that's, you know, that's a little bit off tee for me.
But it's a show.
Yeah.
So they have to throw certain things in there.
It's okay. You know, it is what it is.
But it's a good show.
Yeah.
And watch The Odd Couple. Check out The Odd Couple.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Look it up. Tony
listen,
Randall, Jack Klugman.
Yeah, we can give you a few different ones. Actually, and to say the truth,
You'll love it.
what's your absolute favorite Odd Couple episode?
Oh, Skyler.
Skyler, definitely. I agree.
This is kid.
I absolutely agree.
These are the original, man.
Yeah,
I'm talking, these came out, these are the first ones.
yeah, I agree.
Oh, I'm going to tell
Okay, so here's what happens in Skyler. All
them.
right,
You got to watch this.
really, you got to watch this one. So Oscar and Felix, they're living together. They have a kid upstairs named Philip, and he comes down. He's a pain in the ass. So one day, Oscar, who's a
real
sports
straight
writer,
kid, yeah.
is on his typewriter. He's got one of the old typewriters. He's typing away, and Philip comes in, and Philip's being a pain in the ass, and Oscar just wants to get his work done. So Oscar turns around to him and says, "Philip, what do I have to do to get rid of you?" So he goes, "I'll arm wrestle you for $100." So Oscar puts his arm up, wrestles him, beats him. He goes, "All right, give me the $100." The kid takes out a roll of bills.
A stash.
Yeah, but Oscar doesn't see the roll of bills because he's still typing. Breaks off 520s and gives it to Oscar. Oscar looks at it. Now Oscar gets concerned. Okay, because he just gave. So he goes. Philip goes, "You want to go double or nothing?" So Oscar goes, "Okay." So again, puts his arm up. He beats the kid. The kid pulls out the roll, and Oscar sees the roll this time. Kid peels off 5 more 20s and gives it to him. So Oscar gets up. Philip goes, "Where you going?" He goes, "I'm going to call Murray because winning 100 off you concern me, but winning 200 is extreme." So he calls Murray, who's a cop. Murray comes over.
Cop.
So they're interrogating Philip. They're like, "Where'd you get the money?" Philip turns around and goes, "I robbed a bank."
Right.
So Murray goes, "Okay." Goes steps aside. He goes, "Oscar, I don't think you robbed the bank." So Oscar and Felix get dressed. And they go to the bank that he said he robbed, and they sit down with the manager. And the manager says, "Well, what can I do for you?" And Oscar turns around and goes, "Well, we understand there's been a robbery here." And Felix stops him from talking. So the guy looks around, the manager goes, "Okay, what do you know about it?" So Felix goes, "Well, let's just say we return the money and the person is really, really sorry. Will there have to be charges pressed?"
They think it's the kid.
So yeah, Oscar and Felix think it's Philip, because he said he robbed it.
Funny.
So the manager turns around and goes, "Well, we just really want the money back, so if you can do that, that'd be great. We don't have to press charges." So Oscar turns around and goes, "This is great." Felix goes, "Wait, I want a witness in here to hear you say that." So the manager looks down, presses on his intercom and goes, "Jane, could you send Skyler in, please?" So Skyler comes in and he's standing at the door. And Skyler is like one of the Black Widow from Any Which Way You Can movie.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah. He's the skinny guy.
Yeah, he's the bald, skinny guy. So
The
anyway,
littlest guy in the Black Widow gang. Yeah.
he's always talking like this, Anyway, so he comes in the office and the manager goes, "Skyler, these men are here about the robbery lately, and what we'd like you to do," and Skyler yells out, "is confess." He goes, "You want me to confess?" So he goes, I had to do it. My wife wanted these fur coats, and I can't
She
let her
would
go.
leave me.
She would leave me. So Felix and Oscar get up and go home. They arrest Skyler, by the way. So Felix and Oscar go home, and Philip is sitting there with Murray, the cop. And so they walk in and they go like this. They go,
"You lied.
You lied, Philip. You didn't rob any bank. It was somebody named Skyler." And
The
Philip
kid goes,
doesn't miss a beat, looks up at him and goes, "Oh my God, they got Skyler." So it's fantastic. Oscar looks down and goes, "You don't know any Skyler."
But if
Anyway,
you watch the skit,
yeah, it's
you'll know
really
what we're
hysterical,
talking
I'm
about.
telling you.
But watch the show because
Yeah,
you want a
please,
little
it's great.
comedy. Man.
And the Honeymooners, listen, I highly recommend, the regular Honeymooners show is great, but if you can go to Tubi, by the way, Tubi's a phenomenal,
Tubi.
phenomenal
and what
app.
else is the other one?
Absolute free, well, there's a few of them, okay, but
Tubi's excellent.
out of all of them, I'm telling you seriously, Tubi is the best. It's the best.
Go to Tubi.
You couldn't pay for it if you wanted to. There's no pay option.
Hey, get the
They,
honeymoon.
they can't even turn around to you and go, "Listen,
No.
pay and no ad. There's no pay option.
Mm,
It's Tubi, and I don't make nothing off of these people, by the way.
nope.
I just really, that's what I watch that more than I watch my cable, and I'll tell you why. Okay, they have better shows than my cable.
They do.
Anyway,
Cable guy, I want to say it. Shit.
yeah,
They got
go on,
shit.
go there, and the Honeymooners. It's the Lost episodes.
Lost
They got-
episodes are great.
They got 4 seasons. Okay, 4 seasons. Skip the first 5 episodes. And the reason I tell you this is it's not the original. It's not the Alice that I'm talking about. It's the original Alice, and she's not really that funny. She's got a grating
No,
voice.
no, skip
It's
the.
like, don't tell me, Ralph. Don't tell. It's not. Trust me. Just
Yeah, it's a more of an egg.
just go. Skip the first 5.
She's like Alice, the original Alice, right
Yeah.
now.
Audrey Meadows.
Audrey Meadows, who is a comedian.
Yeah, she actually, quick story about her. She went in originally for the audition, and they told her she was too glamorous because nobody would believe that she was with Ralph Cramden. Okay, because she was so beautiful. She was gorgeous. She was absolutely gorgeous.
She was very pretty lady. Yeah.
She went outside and she saw like this lady that was, one cleaning up the sets and stuff, and she had on a house coat. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. That's like from the 60s and 70s, even the 50s. It's this like dress women would wear when they were just like doing shit around the house. It was called a house coat.
Almost like an apron.
Yeah, well, but it was
Almost,
a dress.
right, but it was a dress type, right.
It was called. It was usually
I know what you're talking about, grandma.
It usually, to be honest with you, it usually looked like curtains.
Yes,
it used to look
okay.
like it always had checkers
They had,
and
yes,
flowers.
okay.
So it was just called a house coat or a house dress. And she got the house dress, threw it on over her stuff, and dropped her hair down, and went back in there, and she nailed it. She got the part. And but they already remember what I told you earlier. The Honeymoon started as a skit on the Jackie Gleason show. So she came in after the series started on its own when it became the Honeymooners.
Right.
So that's why you got that 5-episode thing
Right.
going on there.
Yeah, skip those and watch it.
But go to Tubi, and I'm
Tubi.
telling you, the stuff that's on there is just
Get
unbelievable.
the Odd Couple too.
You got everything on
Watch
there. I'm not
those
joking
shows.
with you. Yeah, Welcome Back, Cotter's there.
Taxi.
Barney Miller, Taxi. Then you got movies like
And you remember we
you got
showed you the
cult
skit?
classics,
Remember?
Kentucky Fried Movie.
Oh, jeez.
Wow, I Escape from New York. I mean, it's good stuff if you like older movies.
Now you're gonna laugh, okay? Movies today are $18 a ticket. $18.50, excuse me. $18.50. We went to movies in the 70s, and you guess how much? And anybody who's our age, close to our age, should know. $1.50.
That was a matinee.
$1.50.
Yeah, that was a matinee. $5 at night.
Mm-hmm.
$5 at night.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And here's the best part. You can go out with $10. Movie,
Well,
popcorn,
look at
soda.
look at the old McDonald's commercial where the kid finishes his paper out. He's throwing papers
Yeah.
all over the place. He's on his little banana swing bike, and he takes a drive. Then they pay him. They give him $2, and he takes it.
$2.
He takes a tree. Yeah, that's Better Off Dead. Now that's a good
another
movie. We'll get into that. Let me just tell the story, and then we'll talk a little bit about that since we got some time anyway. Okay, so he'd get on his bike and ride over to his girlfriend's house Sunday morning after being paid for throwing the paper around for a couple hours. He'd get over there. She'd get on her little swing bike, without that middle bar. He would have the middle bar. That's how you know the difference. And they would get on the bike, and they would drive over to McDonald's, and he would order a cheeseburger, a fries, and a Coke.
Yep.
And she would order the same thing. And for $2, they would get change back. That's the truth.
That's the truth.
That's the commercial.
No, seriously. We used to go to school, and after school, if you had $3 on you, remember Johnny Burgers?
Yeah. Oh, Johnny's. Wow.
You go to this guy Johnny's. Anybody
I
out there
foot up
knows
and I
me
don't get
knows
like-
it.
Okay.
Johnny's.
So dig it. Here's Better Off Dead in a nutshell. You ready?
A great
Okay.
movie.
So you got this guy named Lane Myers, and he's basically a loser. Okay, and it's what's his name? Who is it again? What's his name?
John Cusack.
John Cusack, right? He's Lane Myers, and he's a skier, but there's like a bunch of skiers that are better than him. He's in love with this girl who's in love with the really good ski guy. Okay, and it's not him. So the whole thing is this ski guy skied down this mountain, K2 it was called, and supposedly if you do it, you're going to die. Lane Myers is one of the funniest characters ever. If you get a chance, watch this movie. It's called Better Off Dead.
Better Off Day.
There's a
Funny movie. Good movie.
paperboy in it that Lane owes $2 to for
To the whole movie.
The whole movie. Every time you turn around, this paperboy is behind him. So at one point, he's got to go down this K2.
Oh,
And
that's a bad.
he gets ready to jump off the mountain to fly down. And as he does that, his one ski falls off. But he was too late. He's already in the jump. He's got to ski the K2 on one ski. As he's skiing down, you look behind him, and the paperboy's on his bike with one ski instead of a wheel and a wheel in the back. And all he's doing is yelling, $2, $2.
I want my $2.
I tell you something.
It's a great. Those movies are great back then.
Fantastic movie. It's along the line of like your 16 Candles or Breakfast
What he tries
Club.
to do, he tries to
He
better off
starts
dead.
off trying to kill himself.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
And nothing works.
And every time he tries to kill himself, something messes him up. There's a girl next door. She was from Last American Virgin. She was in that movie. I don't know her name.
Oh,
but-
she becomes his friend.
Yeah, and the funny part is, I don't know if you know the guy from Head of the Class, Dan. I think his name's Dan, right? Dan Frischel or something like that. He's in it. He plays like this really dorky.
Next door
Yeah,
neighbor.
and he's after the girl that Lane wants. Also, there's a really great car in it.
Yeah, he's like she plays a foreign exchange
Yeah,
student.
exactly.
Exchange
Then
student.
my hills.
And she lives next door with the.
And Booger's in it. By the way, Booger, Curtis Armstrong is in it.
Yo.
And he looks at the
Good
snow
movie.
and he's like, wow, I can make some serious lines out of this.
But like
Yeah.
but those movies back then all the time, like Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, all these movies like that.
Oh, you know who else is in it? Charles Winchester from MASH.
Great movies.
And the mother's a loon. His mother's an absolute lunatic.
There's another one that's great.
She tries to boil bacon.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
And my brother here got me into this because
What?
Heavenly Kid.
Oh, Heavenly Kid is great.
Now
It's
that's
great.
a very touching story.
But if we're on movies, I got to tell you the truth. If we're on movies, and we really we'll do this. Let me just upgrade my shit first, and then because the movie I'm going to say next, it deserves so much respect that you already know where I'm going to go with this. The movie I'm going to say next, it
really
deserves so
does.
much respect that I can't have technology screw it up. Okay, it's called Start the Revolution Without Me.
Gene Wilder.
And it's Gene Wilder, Donald Sutherland, and a bunch of other like older actors.
Right.
And it's just made.
It's corny,
Honestly, it's just
very corny comic.
it's a corny comedy that's
Very
ridiculous funny.
Right.
And if you want another along the same line, The Ritz. That's
Bro.
another one, The Ritz. And that's
That was on a couple of months ago.
yeah. Well, you had to because we lost. What's his name? What's his
Oh,
name? Begins
yes.
with a T. Begins with a T.
Oh, I know the guy.
Trace or what's it? I can't think of his name now.
Yeah, he played the detective. in
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
right?
he was the one like a
Yeah.
police. I can't
know
think
who
of his
you're talking
name.
about.
We
I know
just
who you're
lost him. It begins with a T, TR something.
Troy.
Troy, yeah, something like that. He was in The Substitute.
Oh, very good actor.
Yeah,
Very
he's
good.
great.
But it's a
And
very good movie.
If you get a chance, watch it because it's the best one in it is Jerry Stiller. Jerry Stiller's in it. He plays the isn't it Jerry Stiller that plays the mob boss?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what it is he's a mob boss, but they own a gay hotel that once, like every year, they have this huge party at. He hates his
Brother-in-law.
brother-in-law, who's married to like his
His
sister.
sister.
So he wants to kill him. He's trying to kill him.
Right, so he has to go hide out.
Right. So he's
So he
got
goes to
before he
this-
can kill him, he's got to find out some dirt on him. So he has somebody send him to the Ritz, which is a gay hotel. The brother-in-law doesn't know it's a gay hotel, so he goes there, and what's her name? What's the chick's name?
Rita Moreno.
Rita Moreno's in it. He goes there and
She plays it good.
he thinks
She's
he meets Rita Moreno and he thinks she's a transvestite. And if you've ever seen Rita Moreno act, she's hysterical in this. It's fantastic.
Oh,
It's
is
really
it?
fantastic.
Yeah, it's a gay place, and there's
Yeah.
a guy in there called Claude Perkins.
Oh, Claude, that's the isn't that the guy? Isn't that the brother-in-law, Claude Perkins?
No, he's just a chubby chaser in there.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right.
He's not-
He's right. Claude Perkins, yeah, absolutely.
He's just
but-
that chubby chaser.
I take it back. Watch this movie, then watch Start the Revolution without me.
Yeah.
This movie is hysterical. It's called The Ritz. Jerry Stiller is amazing in it. And
Funny movies, man. I'm telling
and
you.
I wish I could remember who
That'd be in
plays
his
the
comic.
brother-in-law because you know he's a great actor.
Yes.
Very funny guy.
Yes. It's
Um,
a really good movie, man.
Yeah.
You gotta check it out.
Anyway, I think we're finished for today. I mean, I don't know if you guys found this interesting or not, but we tried. You know what I'm saying?
But hey, listen, a couple of good movies, like we said. Check them out. Watch the shows we're telling you about.
Within the next 2 weeks, we'll be upgrading our equipment, and it should make it a little bit better.
I say within a week we can do this.
I'm hoping.
We're hoping. This way we can show you, like my brother said here.
Yeah, we had a great show set up, but we kept stuttering, and I didn't want to do that to you guys and have you wait till buffering and all this crap. So I got to get my hands on an Ethernet cable, and I got to get my hands on a new computer.
Yeah, we need a new system, and we're gonna get it going. We'll get it going.
But we were gonna do. Meanwhile, if you want to go check out what we're probably gonna do in the next show, we're gonna do an homage to The Rock. Okay, but not everything, just his SNL stuff.
Just comedian stuff.
Yeah, what's different?
Comical.
Before you wonder what's different about the SNL stuff and his movie stuff, the movie stuff you can get multiple takes, you can get it right. You know what I mean? They can tell him, don't do it this way, don't do it that way.
Yeah, you keep going over and over, right?
Yeah, when you're on SNL, you're live.
So live.
Okay? It's you. So whatever you do there is actually you. And the man has just surpassed any idea of comedy I ever expected from him.
Yeah, because you always see him in action, wrestling.
The other one to check out is Chris Walken. Chris Walken is
Christopher
another
Walken is
master.
one of the best.
You want to say goodbye and then I'll say goodbye?
Folks, you enjoy your day. We'll see you soon. And be safe and
Let's
stay
do
cool.
Let's do a Burns and Allen one. You ready? Say goodnight, Kerry.
Good night, Kerry.
Have a
Be
great
safe,
night, guys.
people.